Welcome to Kessel Run Collecting, a place for fans of 3 3/4 inch action figures, playsets, and more. And now, here are your hosts, Eric and Rezakai.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Kessel Run Collecting. I'm your host, Eric, and with me, my good friend, Matt.
Hey, everybody.
So, there's been quite a lot that's going on since we recorded our last episode with both of us. Obviously, a lot of pre-orders being announced because it's 2022, and that's how things are done now, I guess. And I think we've both gotten a couple things in. And what we're going to be talking about first is the Andor series, because we haven't talked about that. And so, what do you think?
Um, Writing wise, it was been probably the best Star Wars we've had since the OT. I put it at above Mandalorian writing wise. Um, Execution and plot theme wise, it was okay. There wasn't a whole lot of surprises. It was more like this. It was much like how A New Hope was set up for plot surprises. What you see is what you get. Let's go. So, and to be honest, it came off darker and grittier as it's supposed to be. I think it even has like darker and gray filters over it to make it look like that. Liked it a lot. I know there's some detractors saying it's not Star Wars to me, blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm one of those guys that can have Star Wars without space wizards and lightsabers. All right? It doesn't matter to me. And we have a nice little series without any of that craziness going on. And I don't need black flip porn every time, but I get to see the cold hard empire be an empire and the start of a rebellion with cold hard rebels being hard boiled, and I like it a lot. Um, Luthen, probably one of my favorite characters. Dedramiro, also up there. I'm gonna give it 8.5. 8 of 10, solid 8, possibly 8.5 out of 10.
I really wish I could bring uh, some sort of new perspective or opinion to the table, but I gotta agree with you on almost everything there. I mean, I think as far as if you want to say the most Star Warsy or the best or most enjoyable or entertaining or whatever, I gotta give it to the Mandalorian. Um, but as far as writing goes, yeah, I agree with what you said. It is well written. I think it's refreshing that you don't have to say, "Oh, what twist are they going to try to put on it," or anything like that. Which can come off as gimmicky if it's not done right. Where I think, like you said, what you see is what you get for the most part. Um, I will say that pacing wise, I wish it had been a little bit more, where it felt a little too drawn out from time to time.
Yeah, that was my biggest
Um,
gripe. It was slightly too. Yeah,
I,
go
I,
ahead.
I mean, I understand it needed some of that time to build things, but if that's the case, then add another 10 minutes to the episode or something to have something a little bit more consequential happen. Because a lot of the endings felt like they were more like a commercial break, where it was like, wait, they didn't really it just kind of abruptly ended.
Hmm.
Um, there was one in particular when they were first on Aldani, and Cassian's just kind of sitting there after they had a conversation, and it just cuts. And it was like, uh, maybe it just needed like one more scene or shot or something to not feel empty.
Episode, that was episode 5 when he's talking to Scream, whoever his name is.
Yeah, yeah. Um, the other thing I would say, I mean, to me, the argument it wasn't Star Warsy. I think they could have fixed that very, very easily, and that's just a couple more aliens or something. Like when they were on the prison, like it was all humans. I don't remember seeing a single alien. Now, in universe, could there be a reason for that? Yeah, I could see them having an in universe reason. For example, uh, you couldn't just have all the same jail cells because different species are going to have different needs. You know, some might breathe a different kind of air, so it could be all those individual, not hexagons because they were. I don't know what a 7-shaped polygon would be,
Mm.
but there were different units like that. Well, it could be that one of those units is like full of Wookiees. There's 100% Wookiees working there or something like that. So, but they never had an in-universe reason. Every single person in that jail was human. Um, and so, okay, there's an in-universe reason, but then have it when they go to another planet that just throw in a few more aliens. I think that would have made all the difference in the world. A few
Agreed.
more aliens, a few more droids. That's all they really needed. And to
Agreed.
not have AK-47s.
You know what? Just change the AK a little bit. Like take away the banana clip and put a big fat scope on it or something. And you can change it.
Absolutely. If they did that, it would look more like the Endor Rebel
Yeah,
Troopers or something like
exactly.
that. So
Which I mean, that's a light change, but
the yeah, everything that to me made it less Star Warsy was just some of those elements that could have been fixed very, very, very easy. Because you look at Luthen's ship, and that totally looks like a Star Wars vehicle.
agreed. It looks like Old Republic.
Yeah, a little bit. And I agree too. Luthen, awesome character. Every time that guy's on screen, he just chews all the scenery. And I'll also give it credit in another way too. Whoever thought that when you watched Return of the Jedi and you saw that, 1 minute of Mon Mothma on screen, that she could be so badass? Like, the fact that they were able to take a character like that and make her story interesting, I think is great.
Well, Gil was in a very good way taking this. He's doing like the early seasons of Game of Thrones with this stuff, where you're letting the drama play out the higher end, and then slowly as it builds into the action, and like I remember watching Cersei and Jaime Lannister sit around talking about that stuff. That was great drama. And that's much how you have with Mon Mothma now, even though she's not, even though Mon Mothma is good to Cersei being evil. And a friend of mine watched it, and she loved Mon Mothma. If you notice, Mon Mothma doesn't wear the same outfit in any scene. Every scene, she's always wearing something different, just about it. And she loved her clothes. And I was really pat. I was like, who knew Mon Mothma had a husband and child? We never knew that. That was never in the books or anything.
No, no.
Hmm.
And I love it how in that spoilers if you're listening, but when when she basically throws what's his name, Para or something like that, her husband's name,
That's all I got.
Perrin or something like that, and she like throws him under the bus to throw off the Imperials. Is like, you've been gambling again. And he's like, what? And like
Hmm.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I love in a series like this. This was a series no one asked for. Like everyone was perplexed. Why are they
Yeah.
doing a series like this? But I was all for it because I liked the idea of an espionage
Yes.
story, and it's delivering. It is totally delivering.
Because a lot of times that was my play when because you remember all through the OT, the only Jedi's we ever forced him was Luke, and when the old man was teaching him, and it was like more like a side story. But your basic story, especially when we were kids growing up, was Empire versus Rebellion. And so we got our Rebel Hoth troops, and they did double duty as helping out our Endor troopers on whichever backyard we were in that day. And then you have big fights with the stormtroopers, or you have secret missions to steal the Death Star plans over and over again on whoever's coffee table at Aunt Verda's, or whichever kitchen table you were trying to use as a Imperial TIE fighter landing pad and try to blow up TIE fighters by sabotaging them. So it calls back a lot of great little battles that we as kids had to play because we didn't have access to. Some of us didn't have access to 3 and 4 AT-ATs in the backyard with a bunch of friends, so it's reminds me a lot of that, and it's well executed. You can have great stories that are horrifically executed. I won't go into any other Star Wars media. We just know who they are. But good stories that are also well executed makes fun entertainment. Now, I know I watch some YouTubers like, this is so boring. Look, man, I find Jedi boring. I find the Jedi Order a snooze fest. I find the Clone Wars slightly more entertaining because there's a lot of action, but
Yeah, that was the thing. Like with the Kenobi series, a lot of people were excited for it, and you know, I was excited just to get more Star Wars. But to me, I've never been a huge Kenobi fan. I always thought he was kind of bland, and I
yes.
thought a lot of the Jedi were bland. And I think part of that was because of their like rigid system and their order and everything like that, that they kind of all felt homogenized. Where
Yeah,
it's like, you've seen one Jedi, you've seen them all. And that's why, I know people are like, oh, there's no such thing as gray Jedi and stuff like that. But the thought of a Jedi that kind of broke or bent some of the rules is a lot more interesting than one who just says, yes, I'm going to do the same thing all the other Jedi do. I'm going to dress the same all the other Jedi
you
do.
mean
And
like
all that.
Qui-Gon,
So
the Exile, because he left the Jedi Order because of that thing, because of those rigid rules and things like that. Or Dooku, who didn't believe. What do you know? Two great characters got media made about them.
just to bring it back to Andor, Andor doesn't have Jedi. And I know so many people, and I don't know why there was like so many people that were pulling every little thread they could to try to say, oh, Luthen was a Jedi. And it's like, the way Luthen behaves, there is no way that guy was ever a Jedi. You do not spend that many years of your life under those rigid rules and then you become someone like Luthen.
Agreed.
And the back of my mind, I'm like, gosh, I hope they wouldn't make him a Jedi. I don't think Gilroy would. But everyone wanted that to be true, and it's like, no, it's just a walking stick, okay? It's not so, ooh, it's a lightsaber. It's like, give me a break.
Let me ask you, if they decided to put a Jedi in maybe for a cameo scene or two in the second season, would that diminish the kind of feel to the show? Because I wouldn't mind seeing one if it's part of the story, like a survivor from the kill order. And
I think as long as not too much focus is then put on, okay, it all becomes the Jedi show. What one thing I think, and I don't want to say the show suffers from this because the show's good, but it's a little, and hopefully they'll pivot in the second series a little. But I was telling a friend of mine who hadn't seen any. He said, "Well, I'm waiting for the whole thing to come out." I said, "I will tell you this: Cassian is possibly the least interesting character. Everything that happens around him and to
yes,
him is interesting. It almost, I don't want to say he was robbed of any agency,
no, but
but
he's not very self-guided. He's more like a raft on the ocean that is the galactic conflict, and he's being thrown around from one side to the other with these.
yes, that's a good way
Really,
to put it.
the only real thread he has to hold on to was his missing sister, Remember that? That was an early thread that he. And they haven't really went back to that yet, which I hope they eventually do.
Yeah, I hope they do because Marva was like, "Ah, forget about it, she's dead or whatever." But if that was the case, I almost feel like there was no reason for to ever show him looking for her.
Yeah, agreed. Um, man, I could just I could just watch the entire. I just if they wanted to cut Cassian out of it and just make it the ISB versus Luthen and Saul and all the different alliances coming together fighting each other, I just watch that. I don't even need Cassian Andor in it.
Yeah, I think I was the one character I was really trying to figure out what they were going to do with him was Karn.
Yeah, I'm
Because I
I'm not
kept
decided
thinking,
yet.
is he gonna go to work for the Empire? Is he going to go rogue? Is he gonna become disillusioned with the Empire? And then they kind of turned him into more like a creepy stalker guy
I
with
mean,
Deidre.
yeah, I mean, he they don't want to, but the romance angle doesn't really isn't a big story thread. So while it is there in undertones, it's not really talked about or played for. That's why they don't try to play it up. Does he like Deidre? Of course he does. A girl that's as rigid as the kind of imperial discipline that he admires, and she's not a bad looking girl. And
Yeah,
yeah, all right,
nothing gets him hotter than ice, right?
something.
He's like,
I
"Oh, you're my ice queen."
I actually got a real good dynamic for him and Lionel Moss, the big guy that was on his corporate security team.
The Scottish guy.
Yeah, the sergeant. Yeah, like I got a real Han and Luke dynamic from those two.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the old because because Lionel Moss is the old veteran, right? He's the big guy. He's done this, whereas Cyril's more like he's not a young rookie. I mean, he's not young, but he's not really ever stepped up, and it's his turn, and his buddy's Lionel. He's gonna push him on through.
Yeah, the one thing that I thought they were trying to do, and I have a feeling that I'm wrong on this, but it was kind of what I thought at first when they were referring to him as like the corporate something, and I was trying to think, wait, are they saying that like this system is in the corporate sector? Because remember how in those, yeah, for the youngins listening, way back before the Timothy Zahn novels
Mm,
in the Han Solo trilogy.
back in the
No,
80s.
not that one. The one your parents read. You know, um, all that took place in the corporate sector authority, and they kind of had like this uneasy alliance, not alliance, but like the Empire didn't mess with them.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, you're right. Uneasy Lunch. I believe they were, dude. I think they are kind of trying to portray those people.
Yeah,
Only,
I don't know if that was kind of what they were going for, because then it seemed almost more like they were just like a hired security force.
mm, well,
Like, we
no,
don't have enough stormtroopers, so we're gonna hire these local guys,
well, no,
kind
those
of
local
thing.
guys are part of that that corporate company that runs that planet.
Right,
They're that planet security force. They're not associated with. They're not like an outside hired on team. They're
right.
that
So you're
corporate.
saying like whatever company all the workers are working for, that is their internal
Correct.
security force. Okay.
So there's the corporate security. You're correct. Corporate security. Like, geez, man, you're going back to like the Han Solo trilogy, yeah, and the old Western game lore. Thank you for
Yeah.
that, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so and I thought that that was kind of cool too that they had that, I don't want to say faction, but kind of like that different level where it's not like everything is handled by a stormtrooper, you know. So yeah, I really dug it. I can't wait for season 2 whenever that lands. So to kind of dovetail that with toys, we don't have a lot of figures. from it.
So far, yeah. Let me see. Here's Vel Sartha with her AK-47, and she's not bad looking. Though this is a rough prototype, you can kind of tell there's no face printing on it.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
a
because
figure
it
from the
kind of
90s.
has that weird sort of photoshopped look to it.
Yeah. And then there was Cassian Andor from Ferrix, he's
Which, especially with his blaster, looks very Blade Runner. Like
yeah,
I'm
it
almost
does.
tempted to put a Han Solo head on that figure and just have him as Decker. I actually want to make that blaster.
Nice.
That
Yeah, that's
pretty
cool. How it has the flipping barrel on it that flips
It,
the.
it also reminds me a little bit of Kyle Katarn's.
Oh yeah,
That
you're right.
blaster is very
Well,
similar.
I mean, Jan Erso and Cassian Andor were like the new versions of Cal Katarn and Jan Ors, so
Yep.
kind of like an homage. And then we got Cassian from the Aldani mission here, where he dressed up as the Imperial, which everyone's complaining about the boots. The boots are not right.
Oh, they're not?
No, they just wear regular Imperial officer boots. Instead, for some reason, they gave him tank driver / Scarif trooper boots for some reason. Which
I tend to
don't.
be somewhat forgiving on that kind. Like when it comes to accuracy, to me, it's like if I had a bunch of those, I'd be like, whatever. But does the cap come off?
It is a removable cap.
Well, that's good because people can customize them and do
Head
some
swap and
armor
customize. Yeah,
building.
exactly. Oh, trust me. When they said that, we were like, yeah. The only thing I don't like about it, aside from the boots being off, I guess it's actually accurate to the show. He's wearing like an Imperial Tech, these little cuffs and the cut in the middle of the uniform, which is just a different style. Maybe it's a Garrison version of a uniform. We only saw the Navy versions basically, so who knows? I know there were people in the show wearing this version of the Army uniform, but they were like techs sitting around with like the gray suited techs that we saw from ever since episode 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
mean,
cool
I'm
with
really
that.
hoping that stuff like this paves the way for mud troopers.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it basically is a mud trooper. All we gotta do is change put the helmet on it, and then
Yeah. And I would say that because Solo didn't do all that well financially, that Hasbro would be less likely to go back to that well. However, in recent years, they are all about the minimizing their tooling. So
correct.
if they can just do some sort of head swap, maybe one or two more accessories, and make another figure out of it, we may get a Mud Trooper sooner rather than later. Especially
Spoilers.
because later on in the series, there were some that had the helmet.
Yeah, yeah. So they had
The
the helmet.
ATST helmet. Now, I don't think they announced any more vintage collection for this, but it it brings up a gripe that I have, and I don't know if I addressed this on the last episode we were on, but so for example, in the Black series, they I don't think they have Vel, but they have Bix, and then I think they had like a 2-pack with Cassian, but then he has a B2 emo, and I think Luthen, and they have Luthen in Black Series. Okay, I would buy all those in Vintage Collection, and likewise, I'm sure the Black Series collectors would buy these in Black Series. Look, we're collectors, which means we want to get usually everything or a lot of things all from the same content. And I understand that, I guess part of their philosophy is have a little bit of something for everyone. However, both parties are getting shortchanged. And I would almost rather see Black Series get everything from Cassian and get nothing than say, we're going to throw you some stuff, but if you want to put a scene together or something like that, well, you really can't do it because we haven't given you everything to do that.
Yeah, as much as I hate to admit to it, I'd prefer it too because I'd rather.
And so they've obviously determined that if you give it all to one and not the other, well, then you're going to piss off those fans. So it's like, by the same token, they're both left underwhelmed by your efforts because you haven't gone all in on satisfying anybody. You're just doing the bare minimum.
Agreed. Agreed. And we're going to talk about later in this episode.
I mean,
Bare minimum.
I would definitely buy Luthen. No
Oh,
ifs,
no
ands, or
questions. That's
buts.
like they got the client from Mandalorian. I'd buy him in a second.
Yeah,
So,
I would buy Mon Mothma.
oh
You know,
yeah,
she's a if you want to talk about like the three primary characters in the show, it's not Vel, it's Mon
Mm-mm.
Mothma, Luthen, and Cassian.
That
So,
sweet riding that sweet like Cadillac version car that my mom rides in
oh yeah, yeah.
is awesome.
It's like, I see. Bentley's been around for quite some time, you know. Well, that brings up vehicles. Would you buy her caddy or whatever if they had it?
Uh, if I had, if it, see, it really doesn't do anything, so it probably wouldn't get made. Would I buy it? Of course, I buy everything. Would the general public buy it? It's
I don't
another
think so.
issue.
I don't think
I'll
so.
tell you what I would buy if it was a place that would be Luthen's antique shop with all that sweet shit in it.
Oh, well, after they do the Book of Boba Fett throne room, they'll then do that. So for like $300, you can get all the little, and they'll say it comes with 600 artifacts.
Oh yeah.
$500.
Is your wrist turning?
$500. Pre-order 2 years in advance. No.
Your wrist hurting there from turning that knife in my back so much there? Appreciate that.
Yeah, you know what? There wasn't really a whole lot of vehicles. Period.
No, not in the last year. No. It
You
hasn't
you
been.
had Luthen's ship, which is cool, but I don't think they would ever make a ship that big from the series. You had some TIE fighters show up. New kind of Star Destroyer, but I mean that's not like a toy scale. So anyway, that covers Andor, I think, unless you have
Hmm.
something else to add. And that's it.
That's
I
it.
have a feeling we're probably not going to see anything more from Andor until the second season.
Yeah. Thanks, Turtle Scum, for letting us for these great pictures.
Yeah.
Lord knows it helps me my job finding this stuff.
So why don't we get into what we've gotten recently?
All right. Well, you want to start? Or you want me to start?
Well, I'll start. My list is actually pretty small.
All right.
Well, for one thing I got the other day, not a figure, but I got a helmet and armor part kit for Mando.
Really?
Yep. So now, before I get too far into working on that stuff, I need to figure out how I'm going to do the jumpsuit, whether I make it myself or, give me a pattern and give me some fabric and I'll start making it, whatever. I hate the research end. As far as figures go, I got a shipment from Big Bad Toy Store that included a figure that I totally don't remember what it was. I already put it on display, so I can't just go in the other room and look. But it had the Darth Maul Mandalorian with the horns. I have not opened him yet. I got the classic trilogy Stormtrooper, just the basic one, which I would have loved to have gotten a ton, but at the prices they are now, trying to army build, I'm like, I have a pack of Rogue One Stormtroopers. When I say pack, I mean like a case, the case of 8, I think it was. I have that. I haven't opened any of them, and I have 2 classic Stormtroopers that came with the E-Web, and so now I have a third. Yeah, I mean, like $15 I think now. I was like, I'll get one. If I see one in the store, I would pick it up probably, but that's all I got for that. And then the other day, Ollie's, which I think you have those out your way. They had the Return of the Jedi Endor Luke for $6, and so I picked one of him up.
Nice.
I think
I
they
think
were Walmart, weren't they Walmart?
they were originally Walmart exclusive. Yeah, but they're Ollie's now.
Well,
might,
that seems to be the trend though, because you go back to the Black Series ATST, And then I think Ollie's, I think that Ollie's had gotten those in, and they're still sitting on 5,000 Island Journey Ray, at every Ollie's. So that seems to be the trend, that they pick up these exclusives from Walmart.
Well, I might pick up one or two just to make to work on my customization for Shadows of the Empire Luke when he's wearing basically that outfit with the jacket over it. So,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Do you have an idea what vest you're going to use?
Yeah, I already got it set up. The Power of the Jedi Rebel Fleet Trooper vest. It comes off. It's
Trying to paint a light color over black. That's the
it's
only.
okay. You paint it light gray first, and then you paint it that beige color, and then I put it wash on. The hardest part is the diamond quilted patterning on the around the shoulders. So I'll just have to get an X-Acto knife, cut that in. I had some
You
rough
know,
versions of it, which I can't share now. I'll share maybe in the show notes later. But
if I can make a suggestion, maybe one you want to take a closer look at. I wonder what it would look like if you pulled well, it's supposed to be a jacket, but you would be pulling off a vest off Metal Ceremony Luke, because that's already a yellowish color. Now there might be some, I don't have it right in front of me. There might be some other colors, or maybe you would have to take the collar and you might have to like shave a little off to maybe make it look better. But I wonder if that might be a better option.
I've seen some. They're not bad, but I'm gonna try my idea out first, and then see what. I mean, I might try both. Hell, for $4, for $4 and $5 a Luke, I can afford to take risks.
Yeah. So really, that is, besides placing a few pre-orders, that's all I've gotten recently.
All right, well, sounds good. Let me see what I've got. What's came in recently? I got like you. I got some of the OT stormtroopers from A&H. They have the horrible attached holster. I know everyone. I know he doesn't have a holster. I like them without holsters.
Oh,
Really
they have the holsters on them.
Yeah, unfortunately. I do
Well,
like the fact.
I guess that's accurate though to A New Hope.
Yeah, but and they have the more trimmed up ankles. They don't have the bell-bottom ankles like Rogue One did.
That's the big thing for me. is those ankles. Every time I see them on one of the Rogue One type stormtroopers, I'm like, it's wrong. Something's wrong there. It's just slightly off. It drives me crazy. And I know I had just said about the Aldani boots, where I'm like, yeah, some people get picky about, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna eat my words when we talk about the stormtrooper. But I think part of the difference is, Andor is so new. That's not from a movie that I've seen a million times. So I think that might be why it bothers me more.
Which I don't. I mean, I don't really. It's whatever. It's a one tiny little change. I'm not gonna be too worried about it. Like the boots on that Andor. Well, I wish it was more accurate. Like to what he had. I'm not gonna be too worked up about it. I wish they were more accurate, but I got the Hasbro Con rescue set, the 3-pack with.
Now, did you actually get it in, or you just have it pre-ordered?
No, I got it in. It came in last week actually. I just really wanted it. I wanted to get. I like the whistling birds coming out of it, and people are swapping the arms because I guess the Beskar man, not this Mando, but the Beskar Mando from last year or year before last, is a little bit more accurate because they had to like upsize the hole on the whistling birds gauntlet a little bit for that, so you can fit in. And of course, Moff Gideon looks a little bit more aged. He's got more of a grayish tint to his hair. He's got the cloth goods cape, which I like.
Yeah, see, I really didn't see enough new stuff, because I have Moff Gideon, I have Mando, I have Grogu, I have multiple Mandos, and I have 2 Dark Troopers ordered that have those charging ports on them. So for me, it was like to get some flame accessories and a cloth cape. Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Well,
I get so frustrated where it's like every figure they release now, within a matter of a couple months, there's like 5 different repaint versions of them. It's out of hand, man. It's out of
well,
hand.
well, that goes into a Hasbro discussion we'll have on another episode when we talk about Hasbro finances, mistakes made in 2021, 2022. That'll be a different episode because that's the reason we're getting so many repaints this year. So I got
With their declaration of, yeah, we're gonna increase profits by 50%.
and some other stuff that happened that we won't talk about now because I don't want to be a Hasbro bash Hasbro. See,
When we're
show.
done with the show, you can.
Yeah, there you go, there you go. And so I got this. Oh, I know what else besides the Stormtroopers, and I got this in the Amazon exclusive 3-pack
Oh
with
yeah.
Tiburon Station Obi-Wan, the Phase 2 Purge Trooper, and Tika.
How much was that again?
Well, what's funny is it was originally I think 54 or 59, but it came down significantly by the time it shipped. You know how Amazon updates you when there's a price drop?
Right.
It came out at like 45 or $46 when it was done.
So it came down to what it should be if they
What
were
it should be,
individually carded.
correct. Exactly.
I mean, at least you gotta give them credit, and it's not a 3-pack where it's like, oh, 2 figures you already own, single carded, and then it has one slight retooled figure, as the third. Like every one of these has like a significant change to it or accessory. Because Obi-Wan, what's the little accessory he comes with?
He comes with the backpack. He comes with his lightsaber in the hilt. He comes with his pistol and a soft goods cloak.
Yeah. See, out of that set, like, I mean, the Jawa's okay, but I have so many freaking Jawas. The Purge Trooper, don't really care about those. To me, that just seems like let's. Granted, it was in the show, but it comes. It becomes a make another piece of merchandise trooper at some point. Like there's some troopers I accept that makes sense, and then there's other troopers where I say they just wanted to have another toy to sell.
Oh yeah.
Like if I saw that Obi-Wan single carded, I may have picked it up.
Yeah.
The regular Obi-Wan from the show, I actually didn't get it because to me it wasn't different enough. I'm like, I don't really care. I got the Vader, I got Reva, but I didn't get the Obi-Wan because to me he wasn't that different. He was
looks
too
just like the
similar
old
in outfit.
Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan they had. He looks just like the Reaper. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I mean his shirt, the way he wears his shirt was like slightly different, and I'm like, okay, if you made him in that outfit and you also gave me young Leia, then I would say, okay, those are 2 figures that actually go together, and then I would be more tempted to buy it. But him just standalone, it's like, who does he interact with? Reva? Well, he didn't even really interact with Reva a whole lot in
Not
that
much.
outfit. So, to me, it was kind of like, what's the point? That Obi-Wan doesn't really go with anything unless I wanted to have him fighting Vader. And it's like, if I'm going to pit Obi-Wan against Vader, it's going to be prequel or it's going to be A New Hope. I don't really have a place for that, so.
Well, anyway, I agree, but I like it. And now something else they've been doing, which I noticed on the new, they've took away the flare off the ends of the lightsabers hilts, where it ignites.
Oh yeah, I never liked that.
Me either. And they just went back to the old, similar to Power of the Force, where it's just a straight laser sword beam like it should be. It's much cleaner.
I never understood the flare because it's like you actually had something that was accurate to what's seen on screen, and you went further away from that for really no reason.
Yeah.
And not only that, but from the sculpting perspective, more work actually goes into making it have that flare to it.
There was a required piece of flare.
Yeah. But then again, who knows why Hasbro makes some of the decisions they do.
They made the decision because they were having a case of the Moon Days, is why.
Yeah. That Obi-Wan looks really nice the way they have the cloak there.
Yeah.
Like you do a head swap on him, and he could even just be some guy on the street. If they single card him, yeah, I think I'd pick him up.
Nice. All right, so that's the three things I've got. Have I got any? I did get one more thing, and we're not. I don't have. I got that Hoth Rebel set, that 4-pack with the different
Okay.
heads and removable hats, but it's basically just the Hoth Trooper with different heads, and they look good. One of them actually looks like Cyril Karn. One of the heads.
Really?
I would not be surprised if they make him and give him parts of this Obi-Wan and make Zero.
I tell you what, if you had a 4-pack of those corporate security guys, I'd buy it.
Really?
Like have Cyril and just like a couple other random guys. Well, think about it. I mean, they could be used for a number of different dioramas where you have non-imperial police force type guys.
Hmm.
So I definitely see where there could be a use for them outside of that. And I mean, of course, you as long as they have like removable hats or something like that, you could always do head swaps on a couple serials. Um, yeah, I would definitely go for that.
Nice. Yeah. So that's what I've got recently.
So let's talk a little bit about what is coming up. And granted, I'm not going to remember everything because it's like clone galore, and
Oh gosh.
the one I remember is Clone Commander Colt,
Yeah.
and that's because I always liked his color scheme. At one point, I had actually thought about doing that as a 501st costume,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I would have bought him if he had come out years ago. But now I'm at the point in my collection where I am passing up certain figures because I'm like, well, for one, I only have so much room, I only have so much money, the prices are getting out of hand. Another clone, well, I tell you what would happen with him. He would end up in my bin of other clones that I had to recently pack away to make room on my one shelf for some other stuff. So I'm gonna be passing up. I'm gonna be passing them up. I just
Yeah. Well, they make Colt, Havoc, and Blitz, which I'm
the other
a
ones
fan.
I don't even know what they're from.
I mean, I can't remember where they're from either. I mean, I think they're from the 2D series. I think.
So one thing I want to get into, that is man, it is like Hasbro is going crazy on the Boba Fett repaints. I
Which one do
mean,
you want to
it
start
is
with?
getting insane.
We got three of them to go through. Which one do you
Oh
want to
my
start with? The Kenner
gosh.
colors, the Cam Kenner
Yeah, let's do
colors.
Kenner colors.
All right, this came out in mid-November, or a month ago. Went up pre-order. Oh shit! It was on the Star Wars card. It was the Kenner. It's basically, and notice how in that picture they got his hand in front, his arms and gun in front of his belt to hide the fact that he's got the return. It's the Return of the Jedi sculpt and outfit, but they painted it in the Kenner colors, which the original Kenner colors was in the Empire Strikes Back. So,
Well, they're using the best Boba they have right
true,
now.
I
So
agree, and to be honest with you, since it is the Kenner colors and not the Empire Strikes Back version, I'll let it slide. And it isn't watched the original one, which the original Kenner Boba Fett did double duty for Empire Strikes Back, and for actually a triple duty. He also went in for droids too, which we got droids last year in the sculpt.
now,
So
what I don't, I mean, I'm sure this obviously fills a lot of people's niche, but to me, we got the granted it's not available for people now, but the rocket firing Boba Fett um, vintage collection, which was kind of also the retro collection before they came out with the retro collection.
yep,
So it was basically like a one-off. But to me, it's like if you wanted to scratch that itch, that does it more than this does it.
yeah, true.
And I have that. So what's the point of this but to just get a nostalgia boost and I don't need it that much. I have my original Kenner one, and I have the rocket firing one off they did, and I have in the vintage collection, I have the prototype Fett in white.
Oh yeah.
I'm good. I'm good on the various paint colors. And at one point, I actually had the Droids one um, that
The
was
third
out
anniversary.
in 30th anniversary
Yep.
line, and I ended up selling it off because I'm like, well, why do I have this? I'm not going to open it. It's just a repaint. Granted, he had the rifle, but it was
Yeah.
pretty much a repaint.
I
So
yeah.
I'm sure people love this. In fact, this one didn't this one do one of those things where it sold out like in 5 seconds or whatever. I think this one did. I don't
Something
remember.
like that. Within like a couple minutes, within the first half hour, yes.
Yeah, and what's the price tag on it again?
They are giving us the Boba Fett tax, which only a month ago, $20.99 is what it was.
Oh, okay, at some point, supply and demand, things are worth what you're willing to pay for them. I get that. At the same, I'm not going to tell people not to buy something. However, I will tell them that you only have yourself to blame for these
Yeah.
prices. You
Well, I
know,
will tell them
I,
not to
I'm
buy.
I'm not going to tell people not to buy it or we need to boycott it by not buying it. If it's worth $21 to you, spend it. Who am I to tell you how to spend your money? But then when you keep saying, "Oh, these prices are getting out of hand," you're the enabler, and the addict is Hasbro, who is addicted to your money that they know you're going to spend because you are also addicted to getting plastic crack.
Mm-hmm. I'm not just going to echo everything you said. Like I said, I'm not saying boycott. I'm saying, guys, going to reach a breaking point, and that breaking point will be the next ones we look at here after this Gunner Deco one, and what the surprise you're in for that one, for those two as well.
Let's see it.
Alrighty, so the next two were released earlier this week. Which, now let's remember, we have the original Return of the Jedi Boba Fett in this sculpt that came out in 2020, early 2020. Then in 2021, we had the Droids repaint. Now we have the Kenner repaints. That's 3 times. Here's the fourth and fifth one. We're gonna go with the. Now this repaint is kind of nice. It's basically based off the vintage Marvel artwork, and so they repainted them up in the Marvel colors that show on the.
Now, did they back when they were doing the comic packs? Did they ever do a Boba Fett figure that was in?
They did just like this, similar to this, yes.
Okay,
So
so basically, this is for the people that they want it carded. Is my
probably,
guess. Because
probably.
if you want a loose one, you could maybe grab. As a matter of fact, the if you want to talk about cheap comic packs, those Marvel ones didn't move. People were peg warming hard,
Which is
and I
sad
don't
because
think they have a lot of value right now. So you could probably get a unopened one. And now it might be a little bit harder because it is Boba Fett. Um, but you might be able to get it for relatively cheap if you just wanted a loose figure. This definitely seems geared towards the people that want to keep it carded. They want to have that card art and everything.
mhm. I don't disagree, but then again, I am going to be popping him open and using him as an extra Mandalorian in my tribe of Mandalorians with the armor. So he won't be Boba Fett so much. He'll be just another Mandalorian in the background. And you
It
know,
it really when I first saw the picture before knowing what it was, my first thought was it was one of those holiday
oh
figures.
yeah, that's kind of remind me of a holiday one, yeah, doesn't
It
it?
really looks like it. It's got the red and green, and it's gray, but it's kind of white looking. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll do it to the. So this is the fourth repaint of that, or third. Wait a minute. Original droids Kenner. This is the fourth for use of the mold. Now here's the fifth for use. Would be the Cam Kennedy version of Boba Fett, which this specifically is from Death, Lies, and Treachery, which is also part of the Fat Lady Swings, which is also the same artwork that Ken Kennedy
Oh,
style
it's
used
not the
for.
Dark Empire one.
It's all. I mean, it's his style for Dark Empire,
Right, right.
which is basically.
Which I hated the art in Dark
Yeah,
Empire.
I was not a fan. For the one-off shots with Boba Fett, sure, but I was not a fan of Dark Empire style as for the Rebellion and Empire, because his style is much more made for the gutter of the galaxy, not made for the
Yeah.
Empire and Rebels. But
So
you get the shading on it. It's very similar. Some parts of it are a lot lighter.
at this point, I think it's really a stretch. I mean, I can kind of see them going back and doing the original Marvel and stuff, but then to do like this Dark Horse one, which is kind of obscure. I
Yeah,
mean, this seems like they are really reaching like I can just see a brainstorming session where they're like, how many different versions of Boba Fett can we do? Everyone make a list,
mm,
and everyone's just like pitching ideas, and they're like, okay, rule number one, no idea will be denied. If you come up with a variation of Boba Fett, we are going to greenlight that thing. So that's how you end up with stuff like this. it, like I wouldn't be surprised if they had the Black Series Boba Fett that was in all black. I wouldn't put it past them to within the next year. We got that in Vintage Collection.
Oh yeah, from I think Black Series already got that, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the recent comics when he does that, and
I think they had like an extra weapon or two with him or something,
yeah, well,
but which they would use to justify the additional Boba Fett tax.
mhm.
They'll put him at like $28.
Speaking of price, so in the course of 1 month, I guess we are in a recession or inflation is going up. These are now retailing for say 20 to 20.99. They retailed for 22.99. They are not 20.99.
What those particular two?
These two we just looked over, 22.99 is what these retailed for when I bought them yesterday.
I tell you what, at those prices, if it wasn't a hot figure like Boba Fett, I don't think they could move it.
I don't think they could either.
Because they moved through fairly well on the. I can't remember all the different ones that they named and what version of his armor was. The one that came with the two stormtrooper helmets, I think that was Morak.
Oh, that
Yeah,
was.
that was the Morak Boba Fett. I think after he.
It's technically the Tython one, but they call
Yeah,
it
but I
Morak.
think they call it Morak.
Yeah.
So, like that figure came out, and that was an exclusive, and that had the Boba Fett tax, and was like 20. Was it 20 or 22? I don't
That was
remember.
26 or 24. And
Yeah, it
then
was somewhere around there. And you know what? Pretty much an all new Fett. And you know what I said? This is bullshit. I'm not going to do it. I don't need that Fett that bad. And their excuse, for one, is garbage. I'm calling it. They're full of shit with that price because you take a figure like Fennec Shan, which also has soft goods. Not only that, has soft goods with paint apps and 100% new sculpt. And she comes with not only the rifle, but her little jug or whatever like that. Okay. And two heads, because it has the helmet and the head. So you have that, which has just as much tooling as the Boba Fett, if not more. Like the Boba Fett, they probably reused the helmet or something at the very least. And okay, so you say the Boba Fett costs more to make. No, it doesn't.
Mhm.
No, it doesn't. That's a bunch of garbage. Oh, but we threw in two Stormtrooper helmets. I'm sorry. Who gives a you know what? Nobody cares about two extra Stormtrooper helmets. I'd rather you shave $4 off the price, and then I'll buy it. Guess what? You get no money from me because you overpriced it because you were greedy. So I'm like, if I find that Boba Fett figure at normal retail price, what the other ones do, yeah, I'll pick it up. but I'm not playing the game. And that's the thing. The more people just keep playing the game, Hasbro's just going to be like, well, we can just keep slapping them around because they apparently like the abuse. And these, where there is really no extra tooling and you're charging that much more, give me a
It's
break.
highway robbery.
Give me a break.
Yep. So, speaking of absolute shenanigans and highway robbery for price, I got nothing to say about these. I have a disease. I ordered them because I want to be completist on 3 3/4. It's so hard to, but at least this one's card book looked kind of cool. So, all right, But those others, I was like, oh. And as it is, because I knew if I tried to go back and get this figure later, it'd be much more. So I said, all right, get it now and get it out of the way. Same thing with the Kenner Colors one. But you know it's coming, and I do too.
The two-legged elephant in the room?
The two-legged elephant in the room. The Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary ATST and Endor deco with a 18-year-old figure, Chewbacca.
Granted, a figure good enough, it probably doesn't need updated.
The body, no. The head does. The body, no. Body's fine. The head could use update. I knew this was coming. A blind man knew this was coming. We just got the Raider version 2 years ago for Mando Season 1. We got the Jedi version 2 years before that, back when it was the 3 3/4 Black Series still. And then 4 years before that, we had it in the original Return of the Jedi box, or from the TVC 1.0. And then before that, we got it in the big 5-pack from Return of the Jedi from the 3 3/4 Black Series. No, I get that. Actually, no, that was after that. So it was packed twice in the Black Series 3 3/4. The Jedi one and the 5-pack.
Oh, no. It was in Vintage Collection before at Kmart.
Yeah, I got that one too. Yeah, I count that one now.
Okay.
So we got this one. That's not before this one. So the last one was the Raider from 2 years ago. Got that one.
Yeah. Which
Before
at least that was a
modified. That was a lot different, though. I can give them, they put soft goods and stuff on it, nets and a huge paint job on it. Like, I'll give them that. Okay, there you go.
And a figure we'd never had before.
Correct. All right, that's one. Before that was the 2 years before that, 2016 was the Jedi one with the ATST driver. Get a figure in it, whatever. And then I think 3 years before that was 2013, 2014, right at the beginning of the Star Wars or the Black Series 3 3/4, the big 5-pack with Endor Han, Endor Leia, 2 Ewoks, ATST driver, Stormtrooper, and Imperial Officer. You got a nice big set of figures. She got 7 figures, and plus the Walker. So it was nice. It was a nice big pack from Toys R Us exclusive. I got that. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4 was the Kmart one for $35. Then before that was, I want to say, Shadows of the Dark Side, a big multi-pack one.
Yeah, there was some sort of. I don't remember whether it was an Endor or a Hoth multi.
And then and then there was the Legacy version, which was just it by itself in a white and red box for a Walmart exclusive from like 2009 or 10.
The Legacy one was the first one I bought. Now I bought it years after the fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have that one, which is what I have loose on display right now, and I have 2 of the Black Series ones still in box. I don't have a place. I don't have a place to put them in. The main reason I bought them was they were so freaking cheap.
The Jedi Black one.
They were like $20 or something.
Yeah, mine were like $19. I got them at Walmart. Yep, got them both.
As a matter of fact, I think I bought a total of 3, and I sold you one of mine. Just
you did. That's right.
Like just last year, I sold you my 3rd one because I'm like, I have 3 of these in box. This is ridiculous. I don't have a place to put them.
Yeah, yeah, and you know what? I'm glad you did because I've been messing with them. I've been testing them. Now, Chris in the video said they did work on the hip joints that connect to the legs, and I will attest that since I have all these versions of this thing, as they progress, the hip connectors do get better to the legs, to the torso part. It just for some reason earlier on the plastic wasn't wide, the plastic clips weren't wide enough, and they just made it too loose for the connection. Sometimes they broke, sometimes they didn't. I like my Raider. I will say the Raider hasn't fallen over since I stood it up there 2 years ago. I mean,
I've never had a problem with mine, but I don't think I've ever done anything but just sit it down and that's been it. Now, this particular one, is that the first one where they've done the paint app on the front for like that
little
scorch
scope.
mark?
The Kmart one had it.
Okay.
That was the only one I think
So
had
this
it.
one isn't bringing really anything new to the table. Even the box, you can't say it's really bringing the box to the
Well,
table because it was in vintage collection before.
it was, but the Kmart version used the original packaging from '83.
Yeah, but it's like
I prefer
I
the
mean, for the people that are all about the box,
mm,
okay, yes, it's different, therefore they need to buy it.
mm,
But uh, and at one point, this price jump may have worked. I think, especially for loose collectors, because they couldn't get it anymore. But because we have this thing called the internet, and we also have this thing called eBay, if a person wanted to get one of these loose, there is no shortage of them out there that they could probably get a couple Minton box for the price that they're asking for this.
Agreed. You probably
It,
get two of them from the Jedi
it's
versions.
nuts. Now I understand them putting it out just for the fact that if if you want someone to get excited about the whole Endor theme, okay, well, they can get a bunch of the figures. They can now do, which we're going to talk about, like the speeder bike and the bunker, and they have the ATSD. I understand they all go together,
Mm,
but you're putting no extra tooling into this thing, and you're asking this kind of price. I can tell you what's going to happen right now. Same thing that happens with a lot of these high-priced vehicles. No one's going to buy it until it goes on clearance.
yeah,
Well,
I
except you,
said
because you
I
pre-ordered.
pre-ordered one. If it does go on a sale or clearance, I will pick up one to open. I will say that the green mush on the legs and up around the head part of it, that is updated. That is slightly new. Like the scorch mark has been updated too, where the scorch marks have a little bit more detail to it, and all these little green bits, especially down here at the feet, where you can really tell it's not just brown paint splattered.
I wish they would knock it off with that foliage type weathering, which
Yeah,
we will get to when it comes to the.
it's got the Chewbacca. The Chewbacca body is fine. The head could have been remade to be a little more accurate,
Yeah, I'm not bothered too much, but
or at least give him the rope that he swings from the tree with.
I think it would have been better if they had like the two Ewoks
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
rode in
I
it.
would have took that. Yeah, hell yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely not picking it because I don't need it, and if I wanted it, yeah, they can go pound sand.
Yeah. Uh,
I'm not gonna get it. But I tell you the one, I'm not the one that is the most knife in the back or knife in the front, however you want to put it to me, is the price tag on the new speeder bike.
oh,
Because you only have to look at my avatar to understand who my favorite trooper is. And they put the price tag on that higher than the Black Series one when that came out, because I think that was 40.
true. And ours is going to be what?
45
45. Well,
for a retooled bike and a retooled biker scout. I got a whole bunch of biker scouts that I don't even have room to put them all out. I don't need one of those. Granted, the one thing that bugs me is that tiny little helmet. I hope they updated the helmet, but I have three 3 of the newer properly scaled speeder bikes that they had at Toys R Us. Tells you how long ago that was. I would probably pick up at least one more, so I had like an even number. But at that price, I'm putting my foot down. I'm saying, you know what? They are pricing themselves out of what I'm willing to spend. They can keep their 20 something dollar Boba Fett, and I hate to say it, they can keep their $45 speeder bike. I'll wait and maybe find it on sale.
Yeah, I found it on sale at deep discount for like 37, so I bought it. But with a deep discount's been known for canceling, so we'll see how it works out. But when I saw that, I was like, you know what, $8. It comes with a figure. It is carded. It's an all new tooling because they don't have access to only the old tooling because Disney said no, can't use those factories anymore, or that's what the rumor is.
Well,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
got it.
something they're doing weird, okay, with the speeder bike is one thing I didn't like about the previous version is the stand, which keeps it kind of angled and up, sitting really, really high.
Yeah,
I think they could have made a better stand. This one has a different stand to it, but if you look at it, it looks exactly like the Black Series stand, which
yeah.
is this globular triangular monstrosity with where you can put this wedge at different angles to make different heights. Well, it's great that you can adjust the height, but I tell you what, in 5 minutes I could design an adjustable stand with multiple heights that wouldn't look like that hideous thing. I think what they did was they took the Black Series stand, they took whatever that model is, and they shrunk it down and they reused it. You know,
That'd be better.
that thing's hideous. I look at my Black Series one, and it is just an eyesore.
Are we going to talk about foliage where it doesn't need to be foliage?
Oh, okay, bring it up.
All right, here we go. We come to what I'm most excited for, the
Same.
Imperial Endor bunker. I still have my Power of the Jedi one to this day. I still use it in dioramas. When I heard they were redoing the bunker, I was scared they were going to make it modular where you'd have to buy two of them. Maybe they split it down the middle. You only get half a bunker door, whatever. I don't know.
Oh, that would be that would be like a punchable offense.
That- I'm so glad they didn't. It might be the reason why they raised the price to $8, but you know what? I'll do it. Just not have that big ass seam down the middle.
Yeah, I was like, hey, okay, yes, it's something very simple. It's something that is missing from my diorama. I'd love to have it. Um, you know, I'm glad they made like the little panel move, and you know, it looks good. It looks good.
Yeah,
Um, I wish it was a little bit bigger.
taller. Yeah, a little bit
Yeah,
taller.
yeah, especially taller because some of those figures are practically, you know, scraping their head. And you can actually tell from the figure there with the helmet on, they did increase the size of the head, at least on that figure.
Yeah,
So at least I'll have one biker scout with a properly sized head.
nice.
The only thing is I'm gonna leave him carded. Well, I don't need him because I have the first release of Nick Sant.
Oh yeah, from the Legacy pack. The
Yeah,
Legacy. Yeah,
yeah.
I have it
So
too.
so I already have him loose. So I'll probably keep this one carded. Which you know, was there any explanation of the name? A lot of times they mix up the
Yeah,
letters from like different people that worked behind the scenes. But it just occurred to me the other day. I'm like, Nick Sant, Saint Nick.
correct. He's Santa Claus.
Is it because he kind of looks a little bit
Yes,
like Santa?
that is the behind the scenes lore on it. He looks like
Wow, wow. Okay. It was like just in the middle of the day, I have this epiphany of like, wait a minute, Nick Sant, Saint
now.
Nick.
Something I want,
Why did I never think of that before?
Eric, something I want to ask you on this. On his legs, are the pads correct on his kneecaps?
Those look. I think they may have retooled the lower legs there.
Because I couldn't
Is
remember. Remember you
that
complaining about the in the Mandalorian how all the bikers had their kneecaps armor upside down for some reason.
In the Mandalorian, they had them upside down,
Okay.
but
Is this
but
correct?
there's correct, and it looks like they also have thigh swivel too.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of thigh swivel. I think they said they did retool some of the legs and some of the arms. So
What I'm seeing right now, if they single card it, I might have to replace I might have to update some of my scout troopers.
I mean, they are going to single card the Scout Trooper by itself. I'm sure that'll come
Yeah,
eventually.
hopefully.
It makes sense, you know.
Of course, by then they'll want $20, a
Fuck
figure or
yeah, they
whatever.
will. See, oh, cut that out. Yeah, they will. Um, gosh, hopefully, but I agree. I like the fact that the helmet's a little bit bigger. I would have really liked the flip up version of the helmet rather than the removable version. But that he was
But
because
he
that's what
actually does take the whole thing
he
off.
does. He does, but I know because me and because we live this stuff that even the originals in the movie could flip up like that if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So
They don't stay though. That's the thing. There's so much weight. It's like you're taking, almost 50% of the helmet and lifting it up straight up like that. Like they don't want to stay.
uh,
It's nice to be able to get them off of your head, having that be able to flip up. That helps a little. Or if you want to take like a bite of food or something like that, you can flip it up. It's handy, but they don't really stay.
yeah. Well, like you, I wish there wasn't foliage on it, but I mean, I can take a little foliage. This looks like it's maybe will they re-release it later without the foliage? Because some
Doubt it.
pictures not seen here that are up close to it looks like parts of the foliage are removable, like it was glued on after the fact.
Some of that might be, maybe it could have been molded without making those things separate pieces. Around the ground, I mean, that definitely looks like it's molded into it.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't get the reasoning for that, because I guess they look at it and they say, "Oh, you put this in Endor, this helps it go with that scene better," which it does. Problem is, if you want to put it anywhere else, like say on a concrete pad in some sort of imperial base that doesn't have foliage around it, it and the thing is, from a customization standpoint, if someone wants to weather and put foliage on something, you can go out, you can buy some fake moss or whatever, glue it on. But to remove it, okay, now you're talking about like dremeling and puttying and repainting and everything. It's a lot easier to put something on than take it off. And they could always make it optional. Granted, the price would probably be a lot higher, but just come with pieces of it, kind of like the way the one release of Luke's X-wing on Dagobah was, where it had like the vines and stuff you could put on it as separately molded pieces, so you could have it either way. That would have been the ideal thing to do. Just include some little parts that you can just like lightly snap on somehow.
All right, well, uh,
I'm
I
gonna get it. I
I'm going to
didn't
get to.
pre-order it because I don't think it's gonna be one of those things where it sells out or anything like that.
No, I mean it's cheaper. It's only $60, which you get a figure. You get it's beefier too. There's a shot by side shot. It's much beefier than the original from Power of the Jedi.
I think the price is maybe. I'd like to see it more at the at the $50 range, where a lot
Yeah.
of the little play sets were,
Mm.
because it doesn't really do a whole lot. But then again, you look at the Jabba Palace thing for 50. Did that do a whole lot? No, it's pretty
No,
much
it's
a
not.
glorified backdrop. This actually has more functionality to it with
And
the doors and the little panel and everything.
the two little panels that open up are great. They don't have any pictures of it here with this, but it has two panels in it. One up top for Han Solo to mess with, and another one that opens up for R2D2. I'll be using it. I'll be buying at least two. One to wait, maybe more to get for my Imperial.
I'm curious what they would
Uh,
look like if you put them back to back.
that's what I want to look at too. It's real. I'm sure when she first opens the box for it, right here, it's in pieces when you get it, and
Oh,
so you
yeah.
put it together.
That's
And this is what
fine.
I'm kind of.
I actually really like that because
Yeah,
it
me too.
reminds me of like the old GI Joe stuff in the 80s where some
Yeah,
assembly was required. I don't mind because like I build model kits. So to me it's like that in some ways adds more value to it.
it does because this lets me, if I want to put some LED lights in it, I can easily disassemble it and put them in somewhere and make it look realistic. Things like that. It's easy to paint them like that too. If I want to do a Hoth bunker and paint it snow instead of foliage on top, I can do that. Comparison shot at one point. There we go. So there's one from the Power of the Jedi. And there's this one.
Yeah, I found that Power of the Jedi one loose at a store not, I think like last year. And I thought about picking it up, and I picked it up, and the doors just like start flying all over the place, and the doors like fell right off it. I'm like, I think I'll pass.
Yep, yep.
I'm like, the quality on this thing is pretty bad, and I thought, maybe someday I'll build my own. But thank
Mm-mm.
goodness now I don't have to. And you know what? That is sometimes the selling point for me. Like everyone was like, "Oh, this Boba Fett throne room, this thing is stupidly expensive." And I was thinking to myself, just that week, I was drawing up designs to make my own for a shelf in the house, and I'm like, "Oh, thank goodness! That's one less thing I gotta build." So I'm like, "Fine, pre-order. I'm good." And I was gonna make the little barbecue spit. I'm like, "Oh, it comes with that. That's one less thing I have to worry about."
Yeah,
That's kind of like the case with this thing. Is it a little bit salty? Yeah, but I also don't have to build one
yeah.
myself.
You'd be surprised how much value is in to being lazy sometimes, which is me. I
Yep.
revel
Yep.
when I get to be lazy because I work so much in my real life that when I'm at home not doing anything, I feel like, am I actually getting a chance to be lazy? Oh my word! So here's where Han Solo tries to hotwire it and fails because horrible. And then down below, once you see the little twist off top part, twists up, and you can
Oh, I didn't know it was like a little panel. I
yeah,
just figured it was an exposed port.
yep, it
Interesting.
twists up so you can like put in R2D2's little connector thing
I
and
don't
try to do
remember
it.
it doing that in the movie though. It was just
Uh,
I thought you just rolled up to it.
I think it's wrote to it too. I don't remember them, but
Yeah, I mean $60 for that is a lot easier to swallow when you consider
yes,
it,
it's
it
all new
it's new.
tooling
It's all new. And
and
it comes with a figure which has a lot more tooling
yep,
than a Chewbacca.
I agree. So I picked one up. I ordered two, one to open, one to keep. So I'll be messing with it.
Now
I was
what's the projected release for it?
spring of next year, so sometime before April,
Okay.
or probably April, May. Who knows? So right around May, right around the 40th anniversary when all the hoopla hits.
It would be nice to find it in stores because you know every once in a while it is nice to be able to walk in a store and say, "Hey, new stuff. I think I'm
New
going to buy
stuff.
this thing." Instead, I
Agreed.
go to stores and be like, "I pre-ordered this and had it in hand for a month
Yeah.
before the store ever got it."
Ah,
So, all right. Well, I'd say what are we looking forward to? I guess more pre-orders to come in that we're still waiting on.
yeah, I'm still waiting on the. I'm still waiting on part of my your Dark Troopers we talked about earlier, and I ordered a case of that Velsarth, Cassian Andor, and Artillery Trooper, and uh, Luke Skywalker from season 2 Mandalorian, which doesn't come out for a while.
I think there's a number of factors at play. Whether you're talking about delays at factories or whatever, and shipping and all that crap. But it used to be you would start seeing figures before the content was even out.
Yeah, that's how it used to
And
be.
so it got you it got you excited for the content, and then you saw the content, and then you would want to go back and buy the toys. And now this huge delay. And if you even think back to like The Last Jedi, they were still getting stuff out when the movie was out. And
Yeah.
I understand in some of those situations, they need like a year time, supposedly to, from concept to the final product and everything. I wonder if, at least when you're talking about the streaming services, that their turnaround is a lot quicker. Like, they knew 2 years in advance that the next film was coming out. But with the series, they seem to be, now you have one every year, sometimes two a year.
Mm.
And I'm wondering if there is a certain pace thing that is also affecting the production. Like, we need time to make this stuff, and by the time we're making something for the first thing, you're already on to the second or third. Um, I wonder if there is some of that going on. But yeah, I mean, it's like every show that comes out isn't really getting supported all that much. They're only getting a few figures. When was the last season of Mando out? I'm trying to think of now.
2000 20 to 21 was the last season of Andor.
Oh, okay, and we still, well, I mean, you have in that multi-pack, but we still have not had our hands on single package Dark Troopers.
Mm.
They've had plenty of time. Now, granted, like I said, there might have been, some slowdowns with the factories getting up and running again, but that excuse is only gonna last so long. All right, so that does it for another episode, and hopefully we will be getting back to doing some interview shows again. Of course, we're coming into Christmas is right around the corner, so I'm really trying to juggle a lot, and I'm also starting to produce more content for another channel I do. So it's been kind of hectic trying to remember what's going on when and who's on what and who's on first and all that other stuff. So hopefully we will have some more interview shows coming soon. So Matt, where can people find you?
If they want to find me, I don't post a lot on social media, but I'm at Rosakai _the _ghost on Instagram. You can see some of my action figure photography. Other than that, I'm trolling around on the rebelscum.com boards, where you saw most of the pictures come from during the screen tonight. Thanks to all the good folks over at Rebel Scum for allowing us to use their awesome pictures on their boards, and because otherwise I'd still be searching Google for our research.
All right, and so if people want to find me, again, I don't post on social media a whole lot except for my business, Hole in the Ground Productions. Just search for Hole in the Ground Pro, and you can get all kinds of props and diorama kits and really awesome stuff that nobody else is making. And I also have a Facebook page. If you just search for Hole in the Ground Productions, although if you message me through there, it may take a while till I ever get back to you because once again, I don't post all that much. And I also am a lurker and poster on imperialshipyards.net. I go by the handle Raylan there. So you can also you can message me through there. I'm probably more likely to get back to you quicker than I am on Facebook. So with that said, we will see you all later.
Later, everybody.
Kessel Run Collecting is sponsored by Hole in the Ground Production, where you can find a broad range of do-it-yourself diorama kits for 3 3/4 and 6-inch scale action figures. Check them out now at holeinthegroundpro.com. Be sure to like and subscribe. Kessel Run Collecting is not affiliated with Lucasfilm or Disney. All sounds and images are property of their respective copyright holders.